abilities. Ooh, wonderful.
Oh shit.
Continue. Look out, people. Thank you, Kathy. That's awesome. Yeah, it's just a computer thing. So I'm hoping to get that sorted. Anyway, long story short, yes, I need to get it set up right. But I've let it sit for so long that it needs updates, and yeah, it's super
It's
funny.
fine. You'll
Yeah,
get to it.
we'll get to it. It's just one
Maybe
of those
next year.
yes. It's so sad. I have this beautiful new little one sitting here, but
Oh, good. Don't
anywho,
worry about it. Don't stress about it.
I'm not going to. Definitely one of the many things that I just can't control these days. um, so I guess we'll get started. If anybody else pops in, I'll let them in. And actually, with such a small group, we can probably just do like a quick hello for everybody, which is nice. So we're going to just do an intro with Crystal first thing for like 5-10 minutes, however long she can stay, because she's going to be popping off to put Cole to sleep. But just a little background. So Crystal and I know each other from university, and basically rekindled our friendship when I started Zaya. It was just one of those, looking for people that I thought might be interested. She's always been in the sort of kin world, and works at Laurier. So I just right away thought of her. She obviously fell in love with it, and it took her a little while to think about it too. And then she hopped on and said, yeah, after I get married, I want to go for this. So Crystal and I have known each other for a really long time, and she is not active rep-wise right now because of being on mat leave with Cole. But it was kind of a perfect opportunity for her to also help me because she is looking for a little bit of, non-baby thinking time. So I kind of approached her about it myself and said, hey, any chance you might want to help me a couple hours a week with just general team stuff that I seem to not be able to get to with my own little kiddos. So it's just kind of the perfect little marriage because Crystal's been around for a bit, but it will also help light her own fire again for when she does return and is ready for that. So that's awesome. Crystal, I don't know if you want to say just a little hello. You can kind of share like your background of what your regular career is, and then just anything you want to say would be awesome.
Cool. You guys can hear me? Yes, I only have one AirPod in, so I didn't know if it'd be weird. Cool. So yes, I am one of two Crystals here tonight. Been around the Zaya world now, yeah, I think for like 2 years probably now, which is kind of crazy. And I am, yes, on mat leave from everything. It just didn't make sense financially for me to do the little bit of Zaya I do with like everything else going on. So I normally though, like Alicia said, work at Laurier. We went to Laurier together. I have worked at Laurier for 10 years, so I literally am like a Laurier lifer. So when I go into things, I go all in. So even though I'm on mat leave with Zaya, it's nice to still have some connection to it. When I'm at Laurier, I basically develop programs to support students. So I like creating and like helping people develop and do a lot of mentorship stuff and a lot of like needing to promote programs and all sorts of different skills and tools and things that I'm not using right now. I am a coach outside of Laurier as well, both in the sports world, and I help young women when they were first graduate from university and college. So there's just all this like energy building up me. Cole is 3.5 months old. So now that I'm like out of that newborn phase, I'm like, okay, my brain can turn back on. And I need to do something other than just be with Cole all day. So yeah, Alicia reached out just saying like, you're really creative, but also really good at like helping, motivate people and be organized and do whatever else. So figuring out if there's different ways that I could help Alicia take a little bit off her plate. So yeah, we're just kind of figuring out what it looks like, but I'm excited to get to know some people more and help people out with their business or help Alicia just, do creative things or whatever else that looks like. So if I get a chance to chat one-on-one with you, I look forward to it. And then if you have like, parties or things like that, that I could be helpful with. Right now, it's probably looking like I'll have, like 4 or 5 hours a week. My hubby's pretty awesome. He is good at like getting off work and being like, let me be with the baby because I want to just turn my brain off. Whereas I'm like, okay, my brain wants to turn on. So he's good at swapping with me like that. So I'll be around a lot, probably evenings doing stuff like that when people are around and just, whatever Zaya energy we need. I am excited to actually put some of this like brain to use once again. So cheers to you all on that. And I look forward to connecting more with you. Bedtime here is in about 20 minutes, so I'll stick around for a little bit longer. I think actually Cole is asleep right now with his dad, which wasn't supposed to happen. So a little early on the fall asleep before bedtime. But yeah, so I'll be around for a bit, but I'm super excited to meet you all. And then sports, I guess that's also something I didn't say. Sports are a huge part of my life. So that's really what drew me to Zaya. Like Leash said, I have a kin degree, but yeah, baseball is a huge thing. I'm big in the fitness community here. I live in Kitchener. So a lot of different female sporting activities as well. I'm the president of a fastball league out here. So lots of different touch points where I use my Zaya, but then also lots of different ways that I can help out all of you.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Crystal. That's awesome background. So as you can see, Crystal has a lot of cool skills, and just being involved in Laurier and sort of like such a big organization, she's super used to helping like crazy. So I'm super excited to kind of have you on the inside, and even just getting to know our team a little bit better will be awesome. So one of the first thoughts we had was over the next couple of weeks, I'd like to, by the end of January, touch base with everybody who's on my first line or who I treat like my first line. So I do have some second line ladies who are like my first line anyways. You might have signed up with somebody that's not super active, or taking a little hiatus or whatever, plans to come back, or that we all work together, like for example Julie that signed up with Trish and Stacy. We all work together at a school and we all know each other, so it's kind of cool. We get to kind of all work together in the same type of way. So I'm always here for everybody. It doesn't matter what line you're on. I am here to help out in any way possible. So Crystal's going to really help me out with that the next few weeks. We're going to touch base with everyone. It might be myself talking to you, or it might be Crystal reaching out, but I'll explain all of that and kind of come up with a little communication where that's coming if it's Crystal that's going to send you a message. But basically at the start for everybody, and even for those who aren't here tonight that are going to listen to the recording, it's just a really good idea at the start of a new calendar year to sort of set your own goals for what you're hoping to accomplish. And that can include the big scary goals, because I know that's something that we've learned. Like Amanda's been around since the very beginning of basically a few months after I started as well. Where we were always asked the hard questions, from Deanna, and Deanna's asked from, Jill will ask her, what are your big scary goals? It's part of sort of the dreaming side of it and knowing what is possible. But it's also really important to be realistic too. So, record that big scary dream goal, whatever it is. If it's a rank, if it's, I want to have, 10 teammates by 6 months from now, something like that. Like big scary goals can sound something like that. But then it is also good to be realistic with yourself and then actually think about steps you can take to get there. Because anyone can set a goal, right? Or say a goal out loud, or write it down, or have it on a visual, but you want to make sure that you are actually then taking action. I think even for myself, for those of you who are on my Instagram, my goal from last January was to really work at my Instagram and actually make it more part of my business, and create that, brand, where I had talked about this on another call with Deanna about you being your own brand. So taking a little bit of time, I just made a note about that to chat about it, trying to figure out what you want your Zaya to be, right? Because it doesn't have to just be, I'm Crystal and I sell Zaya, right? It's like, who are you? What do you bring to the table? Using Crystal for an example, again, when we first chatted about it with her softball and that kind of thing, she really was kind of going down the road of wondering if she could have uniforms, Zaya as their uniforms one day. And then the pandemic happened, right? And like things sort of didn't go the way that you may necessarily thought they would at the very beginning. But the cool thing is, we do have this amazing space and you can do whatever you want with it. It's totally, totally up to you. And like just looking at all the faces that are up here, every single person that is doing this right now, whether you're on the call or you're on our team and you're not here tonight, everyone has their own unique thing, right? Like nobody is doing it the exact same way, which is the coolest thing in the world. Like there are so many businesses like this where people just are kind of carbon copied, given what to say, given a script, like that whole thing. That used to be the way with this type of business. We're really lucky with Zaya that it's very unique and that really allow a lot of flexibility with like, do whatever you want with it. Here's our pillars. As long as you're following, what our belief is for the company, go ahead and make it your own. So it's pretty cool to see you can do anything with it. But I think one of the biggest things is, again, at the start of a new year. So whether you've been around for a while or you're brand new, just really taking some time to reflect and think about what you want it to look like for you. And this can even be if you've been around for a while and you're feeling like you're lacking your own belief, because if you don't believe in what you're doing, it's going to be really hard to convince other people, right, to buy from you, to follow what you do. You really need to break it down to your own belief. Somebody who's amazing to follow that most of you already know about is Kristen Boss. Deanna, our upline, really it's her coach, and she is unbelievable in the message that she has. So even just following her on Instagram, I honestly like reflect daily on what she posts, whether it's like a quick, video where she's done a little write out. I really find what she does resonates with me, and it doesn't have to be her. It could be somebody else that resonates with you. But just making sure that you are finding other ways to sort of think about this as, what do you want your whole picture to look like? It took me some time to do that. And I know others on the call too have felt the same way, where sometimes it was like, aha, this is it. Like, this feels right. Kathy, who's here too, she had been with another company for years, and finally started to realize it wasn't feeling as natural as she wanted it to. She started to feel like it was forced. And then making the jump over here to Zaya very recently, she already has this huge background in marketing, but now she just kind of feels more comfy, right, Kath? Like, you just feel like it's more natural, like you're not forcing it.
Well, yeah, it's like I think it was Deanna said, I don't even remember what call it was that I listened to of hers, but like, either people want the clothing or not. I'm not changing their lifestyle. I'm not like convincing them that they need, like, it's just,
Yeah.
it's so simple. Like, it's literally the simplest thing. Everyone buys clothes. If they like them, buy them. If they don't. Okay. I don't have to change someone's whole way they live their life. And that's what makes it so fun, is that, like, you're just sharing what you have. Like, I wore my unwinds to work today. I work in healthcare, and I don't usually work in an area where I could just wear my generally, normal clothes, but I was, and like 20 people commented on these pants. I'm like, I gave like 5 people my website. It's so simple. You just have to live the lifestyle. And I think, yeah, we're like, it's mostly online right now just because of our situation right now. But when we get out there, guys, and people see this stuff, like, it's gonna be insane. Like, go to a gym or the yoga studio or whatever. Like, it's huge. So
It
yeah.
is.
And when you're talking about different people lifestyle wise, I mean, I have a golf basically celebrity in the area that is getting behind the clothing. I'm just getting her stuff because she's gonna wear it. She's very, very public, and everyone's going to see what she's wearing. So, and then to making uniforms, like, she has golf events, so I could be selling, like, we have beautiful golf shirts. They're actually really, really nice. I bought a few. And then we have like the golf skirt, and then we have like the new capris that came out would be great for not as warm weather. So that's what I'm getting together. And then you have the whole yoga scene. Like, for me, I have injuries, so I just joined my local yoga place, and so it's just like, the world is like, nobody's wearing Zaya. It's insane. Like, there's so many possibilities. Sorry, that was a huge rant.
No, I love it. No, it's perfect, Kat. And it's so true, because you were already living in it before, right? And then it got to the point that you're like, why am I not selling this?
Exactly. Like, we literally had a conversation. I'm like, okay, how much do you make?
Yeah.
It was just like, okay, I'm in.
Yeah, like, it's just cool. And even just getting the discount on the clothing you love already. And obviously that's different for everybody with, how much. Julie asked me the other day too, do you still buy Zaya like every week? I'm like, it literally gets to the point where I have to be like, okay, a month I'm not buying one thing, like, because we get the whole front and center of everything awesome. It is tough. But you can find a balance that works for yourself, where maybe you have a system that you use where you're going to close a party, however often, and use it for yourself. I'm really bad bad for using all of my parties for giveaways because I like to do lots of smaller links and close them and, give away things. And anyway, that's a whole other topic. We could just discuss that like a whole other night. But you do what works for you. And again, sometimes it's going to take some time, and it might be that you are a customer for a while. Like Kathy was always around and just an avid customer that would, text me and say, my size, please get me that. I love it, that type of thing. And then it finally got to the point that I'm like, maybe you need your own link, like maybe you need your own actual website here. And Kath, I know that you don't mind me sharing this. Kathy actually joined like 8 months ago as a rep because it got to the point that she spent enough that I was like, okay, you should probably just sign up for what you're spending on it. But she was too busy with work, pandemic, everything. And because Kathy's in healthcare, her work can be really heavy. And then she ended up terminating, just saying, oh yeah, I just don't have the time. And then many months went by again, and on your own, you came up to just pick some things up for me that I did on a stock sale. And Kathy lives in Waterdown, so we're close by. So she popped by in person and then said, actually, I think I need to rejoin. She's like, now I'm ready, right? And you'd been around long enough to kind of know that you loved it already. And so
Yeah.
just examples of you don't know what your journey is going to look like. Somebody like Julie's been around for years. Julie and I worked together at Bruce Trail years ago. And then it took her time too to realize, okay, I love this enough. I want to do it too. So you just never know what your journey will look like, right? And sometimes there are valleys too. Like, I'm not going to lie, I this week have had a tough week. We had both my girls are home all week. Reese had to be quarantined from her daycare. Her daycare shut down. There was a positive case in her class. So then, of course, it goes from like just the day-to-day change in our schedule. And Dave's working in the basement, from home teaching, and it was just chaos. So I just had one of those work weeks where it was really hectic for me. And I was chatting with Nadaline, who many of you know, and she's feeling the same way. She has 3 kids. It's just the pandemic fatigue is real. So I definitely had a couple of days where I'm like, okay, how I want to be doing what I, normally do, but sometimes life gets in the way. So the cool thing too is you're able to do that, right? Like, take a step back if you need it, be realistic, plan days off on purpose, right? Like, burning out is horrible for us. So plan a day. If you need Sundays off and that's your family day, do it, right? Like, just do that ahead of time. Let your VIP know, I take Sundays off, or I have some planned posts, but I'll get back to you on Monday if you don't hear from me. We always have this feeling because it's sales that we want to get back to people right away. And I'm terrible at it too. I've started to leave chats closed and not even opening them if I know that I can't respond at the time. So just finding what works for you. Anyway, I'm kind of jumping all over here, but I made a few notes of what I wanted to chat about tonight, in addition to what we just talked about. So basically finding what works for you, definitely branching out into Instagram is a really good idea. We had predominantly been Facebook, like our team, like dream team when we started with Jill, and then we branched off into Step Into Your Light with Deanna, and it was really heavily Facebook. But the US reps from the beginning have been very heavily Instagram, and it's just interesting to see the difference in how that's working. And then again, now this jump to Australia, Instagram is an amazing resource too. Even last night, I just spent a few minutes in between both my girls, just decided to the push of Australia starting got me thinking, oh my gosh, I haven't even tried to go follow a couple Australian accounts that look like they might be interesting. I was literally typing in fitness Australia mama, like words of people that would be, similar to my vibe on Instagram, but over in Australia. So I followed a couple, and then today I got a follow back by somebody in Australia, and right away I'm like, whoa, it's just a cool thing that you can connect with someone who's a total stranger. Maybe you follow each other for a few months. It doesn't have to be oh my God, hi, guess what? We're opening in your country, right? That is too much, but just sort of develop that social piece. A huge part of this the social media world is being social. If somebody comments on something, write them back, right? Take the time, even if you're a week late with something, but you want to get back to somebody. That's how you're social with people you've never met. And I've really developed that this year, where there's a few accounts I really love commenting on, and then we've gotten to know each other over time. So just a reminder, this is sort of a good segue into what I was going to say about Australia. A reminder that just because we're opening doesn't mean all Australians are going to be interested, or, you know, just because we know someone in Australia doesn't mean they're going to sign up or that they're going to want to listen. I have a few very close people who are like family to me who live in Australia, and right away they were like, no, you know, not my thing, but I'll reach out to a few friends and get back to you. And right away she was like, yeah, nobody's really interested yet. We just have to keep in mind too that it's brand new. So even just what we talked about, you know, a few minutes ago about all of our own journeys that some of us needed to watch for a while. I was the same. Like Deanna, who's our, you know, leader of Step Into Your Light, she's a childhood friend of mine. I saw her starting and I was kind of like, yo, I don't know about this, or, you know, just seeing her story too of starting Zaya. And it took me like 7 months to say yes to her. And she asked me many times, just saying, I know your background with teaching. I think you'd be good at this. You should really think about it. So just giving it time, like sort of like taking a step back. You know, some people are like, I don't know anyone in Australia. Do you have someone signing? And just not worrying about that. Like, it's amazing. Like Kathy has someone she knows was gung ho. They had talked about it already months ago, knowing it was coming. Like, how cool is that, right? But that's not going to be the story for everybody. So don't be hard on yourself. Don't worry about that. If you've been around for a long time, you don't have any teammates, don't worry, you're still here. That's a huge, huge part of it. Like, a year into Zaya is one of the biggest times where we see people either start to soar or drop off because they don't have their own belief. So that's a really huge part of, you know, building that team, is believing in why you should build a team. So it takes time, and everybody is different. You know, some people have all kinds of people. I feel like because they've been around for a while, and Amanda's the same now too. Both Crystals actually have been around for a bit now too. Sometimes we see, you know, it's just these peaks and valleys where we will see some people sign a bunch of people, but then they kind of go inactive themselves and they're not a leader. So if you're not leading these people you're signing up, it's not going to do a thing for you. If you've been consistent from the beginning and you have, you know, consistently kind of set a goal for yourself of, well, I'd like to do, you know, 500 sales this month. Oh, I want to have 1,000. Like, keeping your own consistency is massive. So even if you don't have a team behind you yet, you have that to say, like, I've been here. These are the goals I've set. Something really cool, again, I saw from Kristen Boss when I did this little mini training that I could fit in the last couple of weeks, was talking about the shift that you can take at, when I was saying at the beginning, when you make a goal for yourself and you think, okay, here's like this giant goal that I'm here and I'd like to be here. And you kind of see that, like, you know, giant space, like she calls it the gap. And that can feel really overwhelming because you don't quite understand how to get there and what you need to do. And that can take a lot of planning. But actually taking a second to look at where you have come in the amount of time that you started. So if you started a month ago, like, did you start your VIP? Do you have some consistent people who have already, you know, repurchased from you? Just looking at where you are and thinking about that growth. Like, look at where I started, look at where I am now. Like, there's a few people, again, on the call that when I look at you, I think about those first conversations we had, maybe where you thought, oh, I don't know if I can do this, or, oh, I've done a bunch of things like this before. Amanda Anderson had done a few different things before. She and I know each other from home. And I remember our first conversation where she's like, ooh, I don't know, my husband might just say, oh, another thing. And I remember those first conversations like clear as day, and they were over 2 years ago. So just looking at where you started and where you are now, and actually looking at that growth already. And it can be actually really cool and really refreshing to look at that instead of, okay, I'm here and I'd like to be here. So if you haven't done that before, just take a second to kind of check in with yourself and look at that. Like, literally go back, and you can even go in your back office, look at your sales. If you've been around for a while, like, you can see some consistent growth. Maybe you dropped off for a few months, maybe you had a family situation. Like, just being real and being kind to yourself and being realistic, I guess, is the biggest thing. So I just wanted to remind you, with the big excitement of Australia and all this cool stuff going on, it is still a hard time in January, right? Like, this post-Christmas sort of hangover feeling where there's always this build up to Christmas time. And then when it's over, some people feel like, oh man, you know, now I'm now I'm in this state of like, oh, it's just winter for months and months now. Yeah, thanks, Crystal. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you soon. So anyway, just kind of keeping things in check with yourself. If you're having a rough time, be real, right? Talk about it. Talk to your upline. One of the biggest things we learned as well from Deanna and from Jill is to never complain down to your team. So as you do start to build the team, if you're having a rough time or you're having a hard time with your belief, talk to your upline. So talk directly to the person who signed you up to say, like, here's what I'm struggling with. Can we talk about it? I need some help working through this. If you start to develop a team and you complain down to your team, you can actually pass your negative feelings on to them. And we don't want to do that. So just a reminder, as some people are, new or kind of in this mindset where you're hoping to sign some people soon, that kind of thing. That's just something else I wanted to make mention of. Oh, one other thing I wrote down that made me think of some who are starting out, or again, kind of reigniting their Zaya fire. I have one example of a friend who I tried to buy something for her really early on when I was first a rep, didn't really know anything about the products. We're all going to have products we don't love, but we're all going to have, favorites, and it depends on your social circle, like the people around you, what they love. So for example, like teachers, right? Like teachers love the peak zipper joggers or unwind joggers that you can dress up. Like there's certain things that just go really well with certain groups. And then, and different body types too. So something I didn't know about were the Everywhere pants, and they're really, really thin. And so when I first tried to buy them for a friend who, when I would like first started Zaya, I tried to get her a pair, and as soon as she got them, she's just like a size 8 kind of, yeah, they're really thin, but they're great, and they serve their purpose for like warm weather, and it depends on which ones they are. Like the Everywhere with the zippers are cool because they have a bit of like a dressy look to them, but they're very thin. So they don't hide any imperfections. The Everywheres that don't have zippers are like so thin that I feel like they're more meant for like an Arizona climate where it's always hot and you're just maybe looking for like sun coverage. Anyway, I had a friend that I bought them for. And again, I didn't even know anything about them. And they just did not fit her right. And they were so thin. She tried to wear them to school. She's a teacher, and she tried to wear them in October or something. And she's like, oh my God, the wind blew right through me. It was the one and only thing she bought from me. And I, got her money returned and everything. And she's never asked about it again. And she's a really close friend. And it's one of those funny things where I almost want to drop her a bag now that I know so much more about all the favorite things I do love. And I just want to be like, just take these unwind for free, or because it's like I feel like I want to like wash that away because it was so long ago. And she's just one of those people I know her mom would buy if she actually realized that it was great. And she's seen my team grow and how it's gone for me and stuff, and she's so proud of everything I'm doing, but she just doesn't want to get behind the product. So I just wanted to mention that too. Don't let somebody, you might have a handful of people here and there that it's not for them. And don't let that, kind of jade your thinking, your own belief in Zaya, because you are going to have that along the way. And it's so funny to me, like 2.5 years ago, this happened and it still bothers me, but I also have to just think, it's not for her. She's a Lulu person. She just might stay that until who knows when. Right. So
fires and peaks.
I know I've talked about that too. She doesn't want the zipper because I wore the peak zippers 2 years ago for Reese's birthday, and she was there, and she's like, oh yeah, I really like the material, but I don't want zippers. So I'm hoping we actually come out with those with no zippers one day.
That would be awesome.
Lots of people, don't love the zipper, but anyway, just a couple examples kind of swirling around in my own head when I was sort of sitting back thinking about a few things that I did want to mention. What I really want to do is hear from different teammates. I'd love it if, we do our weekly call like this, that at least 2 out of the 4 times that it's not me leading the call, that we can hear from some different teammates, because even if it's like split, like 15-20 minutes one person talks, another 15-20 minutes somebody else talks, that kind of thing, because we have so many cool skills on our team, just backgrounds, even just hearing from somebody else on the team that does something differently, thinks differently. I definitely want to make sure that we're incorporating that. The other thing too is sometimes people can be nervous to speak on a call, but it's really, really good for leadership, and it really can help you too think about yourself as a leader. Again, if you are wanting to build a team, but it's not happening yet, all these things like speaking in front of groups. Again, I'm a teacher, I'm so used to it. It doesn't bother me at all, but not everybody feels that way. So just having that opportunity that if you have something cool to share, and like looking at all of you, I can think of like something you could share. So I will reach out in the next couple, in this week to kind of figure out who's going to talk the rest of the month. But I think I'd always like to try to start off the first call of the month together, where I'll lead it with some things I want to go over. Yeah, just wanted to include that this year too, because I really think that would be awesome.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. And do you guys have anything else you wanted to talk about tonight? I want to try to stick to like a 30-40 minute call, so it's not too late for people and for people watching the recording.
I just want to say, like, coming from another company, and I know a few people have worked for another company, this is a really unique opportunity, because while you build your team, you're still making quite good money. Like, you're getting out of it what you put into it for yourself. So you're not depending on anyone else. And that is actually very unique in my experience. I don't know what other companies you've worked for, but like, I've made more money since September, the middle of September, than I did all of last year with my other company. So, like, just put the work in, honestly. And when I started my other company, my other business, the first live I did, I didn't know how to turn it off. Like, I didn't know how to end it. Like, I was awful. And now I do lots of live videos where, like, it's fun and it's like, it engages people. And I think that's really important. So what brought that was that you're saying for us to speak in front of other teammates. And I think that's huge, because we're a group where we trust each other and we're friends. And well, I don't really know you guys, but I'm sure we'll become friends through all of this, and we can teach each other so much. So like you said, everyone has something to give to this group.
We do. And even, sometimes if people feel like they're a nervous talker, like, I'll never forget, I had an amazing VP who was actually Julie, you probably Tracy P from Bruce Trail.
Yes.
She was a brand new VP, and she was one of my favorite vice principals, and just one of those examples of like real life. She was very shy speaker. Like, she would almost be spoken on top of by the other admin because she was just like a very gentle speaker. But she had the coolest life experience, like the coolest experience as an educator. If I ever had like a one-on-one conversation with her, I was always blown away, because she just had all this knowledge, but she just wasn't as comfortable with technology. And it would like come out in presentations where there was 3 admin and she was the one that kind of fumbled, not knowing what she was doing, or was really quiet in her speaking voice. But she was amazing. And I just always remember her, like, still keep in touch with her now, many years later. So again, I think it's really important to just have that practice, and even challenging yourself with that. So yeah, I really think it's important to hear from different people. And that's why, again, even if somebody wants to talk about a topic for like 5 minutes, it's just like, here's your one thing, can you share that this week? Then we'll just kind of have a couple calls where it's like multiple people talking. I also will have some time, again, with my own kids. Like, both of them are sleeping so nice right now, but sometimes Remy will wake up like right when it's call time. So Crystal's going to try her best to be on the calls as well. At the start of calls will work well for her. So in case I'm ever not able to make a call or whatever, then she'll like open up the call for us. But again, I know you guys can also talk without me. So that's something I also want to make sure that even if I can't make it for some reason, then I can still, you guys can still go ahead with the link. I'll just make someone else the host or whatever, and you can go ahead and chat without me. So I just wanted to mention that too, that in case I have my own kid stuff or, life stuff going on where I can't be here, then I still would love to still run the call without me. Would be great, because I'd even love to listen in on, what were the feedback from that week. So
I'm going to stop the recording. Is that okay?
Yeah,